Hello.
Hi Nissa, how you doing?
Hi, babes. I am well. Anyone that's watching might not know me. I'm Nissa, the hypnobirthing midwife, here with a special friend. Would you like to introduce yourself, love?
Yes, hi, my name's Aine and I am the baby reflux lady.
Amazing. Ooh. So, some people may know what you do, and some people might not. So, just give them a quick, summary of who you help.
Yeah, so, well, the name says it all really. I focus on supporting babies with reflux and their parents and families. Reflux is a widespread challenge that I think the US are suffering 50%. They're saying 50% of babies have it. The UK currently estimating 40% of babies suffer from reflux. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's when it's identified and diagnosed and even treated, it's not resolved and it can destroy families. It can be so sad. It's so hard in relationships. It's so hard to hold your baby who's screaming and know you can do nothing about it or think you can do nothing about it. So I am a mum of two refluxers, both with cow's milk protein allergy as well thrown into the mix. One of them with a tongue tie that was missed, and we got multiple food intolerances and allergies. So I turned my own life around 5 years ago with this, did some research, pattern analysis, did what I did best in my professional life at the time, came with a whole load of answers, completely turned our own lives around. And then I was like, oh, now I need to know why. So I spent the last 4 years researching, putting all together, and I've just written my book, which has all of this information in it. And that'll be available at the end of February.
Woohoo! I've already pre-ordered, Anya. I've pre-ordered because I'm really excited. So let's tell everyone what we're going to do today. So we're going to be chatting we've only got 15 minutes. I know you're really busy today. So this is really for mums whose babies are quite little still, so in the first month, although I know you support much older babies and toddlers as well. So this is what I see very often, this kind of scenario, as a mum, my friends who are having babies, and as a midwife as well. So I very often see babies, sometimes quite little actually, a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks and older, who won't settle. They're quite agitated. They're sometimes in actual pain. Sometimes they're screaming. Sometimes they're screaming for a long time. They don't want to be put down, which is quite normal anyway, but they really don't want to be put down. And they're really not getting on well with their feeds, whatever way they're feeding, breast, bottle, And historically, we've talked about colic over the years. And I know now colics, it's a bit outdated. No one really knows what it means. And we're all quite confused, including the medical profession, GPs, midwives, health visitors. I feel like we're a bit stuck. So there's all these mums out there who really need help. What can they do?
Right. Well, first of all, I will put my hand up and say, I do not believe in colic.
Okay, good to know.
It's a no. There is a reason that babies are upset. And what we have to do is really tune in and observe our babies and figure out what they're trying to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
So with really young babies, I don't like to label babies with reflux very often, because reflux is not a disease. It's a symptom of something else that's going on. And this is where my first bit of work with every client is let's figure out what is happening for your baby that is causing them to potentially have reflux, or to not want to lie down, or to have this burning feeling in their chest. Babies naturally have an immature digestive system. So the lower esophageal valve, the valve between the food pipe and the stomach, is weak. If you think of a baby's stomach like a full carton of juice with a straw in it,
Mm-hmm.
if you lie it over and the straw's in it, it spills. Essentially, that's what happened to baby's tummy and a straw, and their esophagus.
Yeah.
Equally, a very young baby's stomach does not expand, like it doesn't stretch like an adult stomach. So again, with that juice carton, if you squeeze it, everything comes out.
Right.
So that's why these babies spit up a lot and pus it a lot, and sometimes they get air going through. So,
and that's normal. We expect
it's
a bit of that.
completely normal.
Yeah.
The medical profession then diagnosed GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease,
Okay.
when the refluxing causes pain.
Okay.
It's not a disease,
Okay.
but that's what the medical profession call it.
Interesting.
So why does this happen? That's where I work. Why does it happen? There's 3 reasons really that it happens. Maybe 4. We'll go at 4. The first one can be something structural, just introducing a bit of stress into baby's body. So for example, from birth, their skull is designed to squidge as they're being born. Equally, and this applies not just to vaginal deliveries, but also to section babies, is from how they lie in the womb, they might be a little bit squashed.
Of course, yeah.
Any tension in the head and jaw can affect feeding, can introduce stresses into the stomach, can also cause baby to be drinking too much air, which is a major source of reflux.
Okay.
So from the age of 2 weeks, I always send my babies to a craniosteopath for a session. Always. Just
to straighten out any kinks and
exactly
relax any tension.
Absolutely. And for some babies, that is the magic bullet. That's all they need. So the next thing is drinking too much air. So you've got to figure out why baby is drinking too much air. And this I am seeing in 80% of my clients.
Okay.
So signs to look for when baby is feeding are, do they gulp, choke, gag, cough when feeding? Do they have any frustration with bottle or boob? Are they kind of bobbing their head on and off? Are they trying to grab the bottle a bit more or trying to eat some more of it? Are they spilling or leaking milk from around their mouth while on boob or bottle? Doesn't matter which. And do they make or do they make a clicking sound when they're feeding? Any of those. Plus, can you hear milk sloshing around in baby's tummy after a feed?
Oh, that's a new one on me. The sloshing. What does that all mean, Anya?
It means baby's drinking too much air.
Okay.
Very simple. That will cause baby to reflux. That can cause acid to come up and cause lots of burning. That can also cause a whole load of abdominal bloating, pain, distension, trapped wind, gas, flatulence, all of that. Everything, every reflux symptom can be caused by that. And then all the discomfort knocks on to associated sleep problems, not wanting to put down, feeling better up in mummy's arm. It feels better having a bit of pressure on mummy's on baby's tummy, so they want to be up on your shoulder or something. So all of that can be
the rocking, the carrying, the jiggling,
exactly. Yeah. So things we can do for that. First of all, bring baby to a lactation consultant, certified lactation consultant or tongue-tie practitioner, have them checked for a tie. I'm quite strong. I know there are some fabulous GPs out there. There are some excellent breastfeeding counsellors. But if baby is showing any of these latch problems, if anybody other than a certified lactation consultant or a tongue-tie practitioner hasn't diagnosed your baby with a tongue-tie, go see one of those 2 professionals.
Because they do get missed quite commonly, because midwives aren't trained to assess. We have a look and we think, it looks okay, but you can't. It's very hard to tell, I think, actually, really.
A posterior tie, so a front tie, anterior tie, plain to see for anybody. Posterior tie, quite difficult. Also, what I'm seeing, which is shocking me to the core, is that babies are being diagnosed with a small tongue tie and say, well, it's not really affecting feeding. I want to call BS on that. Actually, on my Facebook page, you'll find I've done a 7-minute video on tongue tie alone.
Okay.
I'm so passionate about it, but it has so many knock-on effects for
I
life,
see the passion,
development, etc. So
you're getting fierce on the tongue tie. So
Sorry.
it's a really, no, it's great. It's a real sticking point. So that needs to be checked properly.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
So if after all that is done and baby's now not drinking air, but they're still having reflux symptoms, like if they're vomiting, if they have rashes, if they have excess dermatitis, doctors might say, oh, it's just contact dermatitis. Take it with a pinch of salt. If they also have abdominal bloating, pain, trapped wind, if they're really, really uncomfortable for hours, like this is especially seen at nighttime, where baby sleeps maybe from 7 till 9, feeds again, sleeps again until maybe midnight or 1, and then is literally up for 2 or 3 hours in constant pain. And once they pass the gas, they settle. Then that is very indicative of either a food intolerance or allergy.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go into the difference of either. They present the same way. A baby doesn't have to have a rash to have the intolerance or allergies. Other symptoms is a constant cold, runny nose, congestion, sleep apnea.
Tell us about sleep apnea. So how does that look like? What would, if you might not know what that is, if you would know the symptoms, you think something's not right, but clinically, how is it kind of defined?
Well, sleep apnea is basically when baby stops breathing for periods, and it can be for up to 30 seconds at a time, and it can be up to 20 times a minute. It can be extremely severe.
Okay.
Or it can be just once a night.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be every night. Because it very much depends on what's in baby's food. And at this stage, it's milk. Formula milk is fairly set in what's in it. But every single brand is different. And every single brand has different ingredients that can affect some babies more than others.
That's so interesting, Anya. Let me stop you there. So as midwives, we are told all the baby milk's the same, doesn't matter what you give them. Where I work, we have 2 brands. One is like a, middle class, yummy mummy brand, and one is a kind of standard, regular, brand that we've had for a long time. And we're absolutely told, it doesn't matter what they choose, it's not going to make any difference. So what would you say?
It can. If baby has a sensitive digestive system, different brands can interact differently with their gut flora, because babies aren't born with a sterile gut, they're born with a very immature gut flora. Depending on how well they're able to digest the milks, there is often sugars are usually the culprits. The complex carbohydrates that are in the milks actually ferment in the bowel, causing gas, pain, wind. Some babies have absolutely no problem with it.
Yeah.
Other babies do.
Right.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, there's 10 pages on formula milks in the book. It was
wow.
quite writing it.
And then what about breast milk? Because obviously our diets are unique to us. They change day to day.
Yeah.
Very broad often.
Yes. And depending on what food you're eating, depending on your own personal health, that will impact exactly what's getting into your breast milk, and then how that is then further digested by baby. So we cannot assume that everything we eat is 100% broken down before it goes into breast milk. That's not true. Our bodies as adults can happily absorb larger sugar molecules, whereas baby bodies can't. So dietary modification, and that's not just carbohydrates, that's protein molecules. And when you get proteins going into baby's body that they don't recognize and can't break down, that presents as an allergy. And very often, I mean, they're not, while they are true allergies from a medical sense, and they can be extreme. Like I had 2 of my best friends had babies with anaphylactic shock level reaction to dairy. So they had to stay, like life-threatening reactions. But those children both grown out of them by the age of 3.
Right.
And that comes with gut maturity.
That's so
Digestive system
interesting.
maturity. Yeah.
Wow, it's fascinating. So it's a complex picture, you know, it's and you I think it's very much simplified at the moment. We don't really understand that picture as medics or even as holistic health practitioners as well. And certainly mums are so confused, you know, it's really challenging.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? So for mums that are experiencing all the things that we've talked about, basically, you know, unhappy babies, to work through your process.
Yeah, absolutely. So you start, and the way I work is look at the low hanging fruit first. You know, look at the symptoms. So if baby doesn't have any of those latch symptoms, then they're unlikely to be drinking too much air, which means you almost jump to, well, always go to the cranio-osteopath, have them checked out for alignment, but then you jump into food and diet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if the focus is on the gastrointestinal disturbances, the wind, the painful belly, the upsetness at night and discontent, then you look at the food. But so many children have latch issues to start with, that no matter what you do with food, if they have latch issues as well, that's never going to resolve, and no medication will resolve that latch as well. And it's got so many knock-on effects. You know, I've got some clients who they've sort of said, look, they've done a huge amount and had huge transformation with their kids through food, but because the babies were sort of at the age of 9-10 months, they couldn't get them to drink another bottle, they couldn't get anybody to do tongue tie release for them. They said, right, well, we can contain the back arching and the air related symptoms to presenting at 5 o'clock in the evening, because we could determine, so actually we pinpointed, we know exactly what's causing it. Let's feed bottle at this time and this time and this time during the day, and at night time no bottles, so that you can sleep all the way through the night.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they're gradually getting baby off the bottles and into a different method of drinking, so they're not drinking air anymore.
Wow, gosh. Mums need this information, don't they? It's just really not out there. You get some good stuff from the lactation consultants, and you know, sometimes you get some good stuff from the GPs, but I think generally they're not understanding and they're simplifying. I'm seeing babies being medicated more and more now. I didn't see that so much when I qualified about 4 or 5 years ago as a midwife. So that's a change. What do you think about that with the meds?
I clear my throat before I start. I think there is absolutely a place for medication. But I want it to be the right decision for the baby. I am seeing far too many babies being medicated and not having resolution of their reflux. It often makes it worse. The long-term side effects of having these acid blocking medications are potentially dangerous to long-term health. So, for example, the first study we've seen, which was done by the American Association of Pediatrics and presented at their conference last May, outlined that 22% of babies who've had, or no, 22, yeah, let me get this right, out of babies who's had the PPI medication, which is proton pump inhibitors, anything that ends in azole, so omeprazole, lansoprazole, etc., they're at a 22% higher risk of childhood fractures. And yeah, if they're on a H2RA, which is a histamine 2 receptor antagonist, so the ranitidine is the most common one, or Zantac. Is it Zantac? Yeah, it is Zantac. It's the sort of brand name one. That goes up to 31% higher chance of fractures. And this is limited to looking at children up to the age of 10, because we haven't looked at the knock-on effects of later in life. We haven't done any studies. We haven't followed these children long enough. But we do know that reducing stomach acid ability affects digestive system. It massively impairs, or basically stops, your body absorbing magnesium, which in turn reduces the amount of calcium your body absorbs.
Wow.
And that has a massive massive effect on children who are growing at a phenomenal rate.
And long term, we don't know right now.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We
So,
can look at the older studies and throw them back, but yeah. And the other thing is, even what really gets me is that for the PPI medication, which is the really strong one, which most people eventually graduate onto when nothing else works, is the drug companies don't even say it's safe under 12 months of age. But our medics are taking the risk and just going, actually, baby can have it at 6 weeks.
That's very, very interesting. Wow. Yeah. So, what would you say for the mums out there who might be struggling right now, or for mums that are still pregnant, you know, and they obviously, you don't know about all of these things until you have your baby, because all babies are different. What would you say? What is the hope and, you know, the best strategy to go for to help your baby, you know, be well, be happy, to enjoy that time, you know, all of those things?
Yeah, is if you're noticing they're unsettled, but the biggest thing is trust yourself. Trust yourself and your observations, regardless of how many kids you've ever been in contact with. You are the expert in your baby. And listen to your baby and trust yourself 100%. If you feel there's something not right, there is something not right. If somebody passes you off and says, "Oh, baby just needs to grow out of it," go find somebody else's opinion.
Great.
Yeah. If you are struggling and you think that you're getting towards the food might be an issue, food and symptom diary. Actually, you can start that anytime. Real detailed food and symptom diary. There's free downloads on my website for those. And then, I mean, this is where I started. I did pattern analysis on a professional, massive scale for 14 years. So I started with the food and symptom diary, and I was like, that to this, to that, to this, to that. And I was like, really? Apple? and for an Irish person, potato?
Oh no.
So what do you mean I can't eat potato? But sure enough, when I didn't eat potato, baby was a lot better. Yeah. And these things don't go on. I mean, I've had one client in the last few weeks, and she's had a complete transformation in 49 days. She got a new baby after 21 days. What?
Like Jesus.
Absolutely.
It's great. Carry on, sorry.
So after 21 days, baby had no sleep apnea, no rhinitis, no runny nose, no congestion, no vomiting, no winding during the night, not up 6 to 8 times a night with a painful belly anymore, to sleeping from 8, goes down at 8 p.m. and sleeps straight through till 5 a.m, has a 5-minute feed and snuggles again until 8 a.m. And it's like, what? And she started off, like, I've been working with her. We started with an elimination diet. We identified a number of proper problem issues, like for her and for her baba, eggs were the big thing. She's like, but I live on eggs. I'm like, not anymore, darling.
Oh yeah, wow. You just know, do you, what it could be?
It can be anything. And for her, she's going through a process of trial and elimination again to figure out, is it egg yolks or egg white?
Oh, bless her. Got to get the eggs in.
Because she loves eggs. And her husband's a vegetarian, yeah, so they do eat a lot of eggs in the house. But we started with going back to elimination and then gradually building in a very safe manner. So very quickly got baby to a place of great, then gradually building in foods that if they were going to cause a reaction, we could see it like that. Stop the food, stop the reaction. So you're not going into full-on reflux again. You're only going, oh, hang on, baby's going that way, let's come back a bit.
Yeah.
And she's now, she's built up her diet, rebuilt it again over 7 weeks, and is just so happy and has a plan to go, well, she goes to shopping because I know I can have that, I know I can't have that at the minute.
And she's probably feeling quite well as well with it, because
she is, yeah, she also thinks, because I feel so much better. She goes, I've lost weight, I do this, I'm like, I've got so much energy. I'm like, brilliant.
It's fascinating, Aine. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know there's so many mums out there that are struggling with this and have done over the years, and I think this video genuinely will be an amazing first resource for lots of mums out there. I will put all your details, website, etc., in the links as well, so that they've got everything like that. And I really recommend for any mums that are struggling with babies that won't settle, Anya's book is coming. When does it come out? It's February, isn't it?
Yes, so you can pre-order it now, and it's released on the 23rd of February.
And that's 2018. So if you're watching this
in the future, you can get it now.
2020, it's there. So that's great. So thanks again for sharing all of that with us and your time as well. That was amazing.
No problem at all. My pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye.